Hey, welcome back. My name is James Johnson. My expertise lies in retirement and estate planning. And what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about Social Security. What's the best age to take Social Security at? And there's a lot of debate on this subject. And you know, if you know anything about me, you know I hate generalized advice. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a little bit about the numbers, and then I'm going to show you how to get your own report showing you what your best age is for taking your Social Security and what the effects are by taking it at one age or another. Now, the thing to remember about Social Security is that when you reach retirement, you're going to face a lot of risk. And the first risk you're going to face is inflation. Stock market risk for most people, definitely a tax risk, long-term care, personal events, the shit happens stuff, so personal circumstances that are going to come up, and longevity risk. And the reality of the matter is we're living longer. So how long should we plan for your money to last? Well, if you know me, you know that I always say live like you're going to die tomorrow and plan like you're going to live forever, because you just might, and I can't tell you which one it is. But the statistics say that, you know, a 65-year-old male today has a 61% chance of making it at age 80, a 41% chance of 85, 22% chance of 90, 8% chance of 95, and you can see a female, it's 71, 54, 34, and 6. And the survivor of the two has a chance, 88% chance of making it to 80, 72, 45, and 23. Now, the reality here is what that boils down to is that the average life expectancy for a male is about 85 years old, and the average life expectancy for a female is 87 years old. But as I will tell you, is you should always do your planning out to age 100. And you say, well, I'm never going to live that long. Well, my question for you is, what if you do? And so the reality is that we're living longer than we're probably meant to be living, okay? And the question is will your money last? Your money may need to last a lot longer than you're planning for. And if you're planning just out to life expectancy, you got to be really careful. It's important to have a solid income strategy at retirement. Remember, in order to retire, you have to have one thing. You have to have a paycheck. That's why you go to work, is for a paycheck, and in order to be in retirement, you need a paycheck. I've got lots of money. It doesn't matter. It's going to need to have a paycheck. And most people's paycheck, one of those foundational paychecks, is going to be their Social Security. Now, when can you take your Social Security? Well, it depends on when you were born. Now, if you were born in 1937 or earlier, your full retirement age was 65 years old. At 43 to 1964, your full retirement age is 66. And then depending upon where you're at inside of there, between there and 1960, it's 66 and 2 months, 4 months, 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, whatever the case may be. And if you're like me, you're born in 1961 or 1960 or later, then your full retirement age is 67. And why is that an important number? Well, the reason why FRA, full retirement age, is an important number because that determines your PIA, which is your primary insurance amount, which everything is determined by. So depending upon when you take your Social Security, you may have penalties for making money and or a reduction in your Social Security, and the longer you wait, your Social Security increases by 8% every single year going forward. So if you look here on this chart, it tells you what would be your allowable benefits based on when you take your Social Security. And age 70 is the longest you would wait to take your Social Security. The earliest you would take your Social Security is 62, but you probably should be waiting to at least your FRA, your full retirement age, so that you don't get penalized for taking your Social Security too early. So how are Social Security benefits taxed? Now, this is different than the penalties that go on, but the way Social Securities are taxed is if you're filing single, it's anything under $25,000 in your adjusted gross income, or what's called your provisional income, which pretty much includes everything. distributions from IRAs, 401ks, any kind of income, anything that falls into that category is going to have effect on your Social Security. So less than $25,000 on filing single, none of your Social Security is taxable. Between $25,000 and $34,000, it's 50% of your Social Security is taxable, and over $34,000, it's 85% of your Social Security is taxable. You can see under married, under $32,000, it's 0. 32 to 44, it's up to 50% of your Social Security is taxable, and over 44,000, it's up to 85% of your Social Security is taxable. Now, people get confused all the time when we put this up here because they say, what do you mean 85% on your taxes or on your Social Security? That's not the case at all. Let's say that your Social Security is $10,000 and 85% of it's subject to taxes. That means $8,500 of that will go into your provisional or your adjusted gross income and be taxed at the levels that you're at that time. So what's the future of Social Security? Well, this is a great question. So basically, if you were to read your Social Security statement closely, you would find that by 2033, the Social Security Trust Fund will be exhausted and there'll only be enough money to pay out 77 cents for each dollar of scheduled benefit. We need to resolve these issues soon to make sure Social Security continues to provide a foundational protection for future generations. Now, much like Social Security has changed in the past, we're going to see Social Security again change in the future, in the not too distant future, because basically it's broke. Now, if I was going to be a betting man, I would tell you that Social Security, your full retirement age is going to move out, your early retirement age is going to move out, the amount you pay into Social Security is going to move up, and the highest age will move up as well. Now, who knows? I don't know any of these things for sure, and neither does anybody else, but you can bet Social Security is going to change going forward, and probably not for the better, probably for the worst. So which strategy is right for me? And this is the number one question, and this is what everybody comes to these Social Security classes about, is to figure out what's best for them. And I can tell you, stay away from generalized advice. Make sure you get a clean, clear report on how Social Security is going to work for you, and then how is that going to work in effect with all your other assets. Once again, you've got your known incomes. You've got your Social Security, pension, maybe rentals if you have them. And then over here you have a need. And in between those, you're going to need to have a gap. And that gap is going to be made up by your other assets, your IRAs, your 401ks, 403bs, 457s, brokerage accounts, etc. So the question comes is, do I ride these assets first and let my Social Security grow up, or do I take my Social Security now and let my assets grow up? And in most cases, it makes more sense to let your Social Security grow up rather than riding your other assets. So there are various claiming strategies available in Social Security benefits that you may not know about. It's important to evaluate the strategies that may be appropriate in your situation. Now, the best way to do that is to have us actually run a report for you. Now, I'm going to give you an example of how that report works here. So I've put together a client here, and I think it's Mr. and Mrs. Moneybags. So let's take a quick look here. So under Mr. and Mrs. Moneybags, over here, we've got Mr. and Mrs. Moneybags. Well, he's born down here in 1958, and she's born in 1959. I'm running them all the way out to age 100. People say, well, why do you run it so long? Because what if you live that long? So when I look inside of here, I can see I take their statement and I put in what is the amount of Social Security that they'll receive at their full retirement age for him, and what is the amount of Social Security she'll receive at her full retirement age here. Now, are they still working? And in his case, he's working, he's making $14,000 a year. And in her case, a month rather, in her case, she's making $3,000 a month. So this is going to go in and it's going to calculate what their Social Security numbers are going to look like going forward. And then I go out here and I run a report. And the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to decide which options I want to use. So I'm going to have an option 1, 2, 3, 4 options down here. I'm going to show you how those options work here in a second. But what I'm doing is I'm waiting for this to populate so that you can see the chart that gives us that 581 choices that we have here as to when is the best time to take our Social Security. Now, if you really wanted to know the very best time to take your Social Security, you just have to tell me one thing. When are you going to die? And being that you can't tell me when you're going to die, then I'm going to highly recommend you consider the thought that you might live a lot longer than you think you're going to. But if you look on this chart down here, you can see here that at age 85 right here, if he lives to that age right there, and she only lives to age 70, then taking it early as possible would make the most sense. But once he gets up here to where anywhere above that, if he makes it to 85 and she's anywhere above that line, 72, all the way up to age 85, before option 1 is the best choice. So when you get your report, you can just put a ruler down there and a ruler the other way, and you can find that crossover point as to when is the best time to take them. So once we have that, we'll go out here and run this report so we can take a hard look at what this report looks like. Patience, patience, patience. They say to err is human. To really screw it up, you need a computer. And no matter how fast computers get, they're never fast enough. So here we go. So we've got the, oops, don't want to do that. I want to get the adjusted higher, not rotate. Okay, so I've run my report here, and now I'm going to go down and I'm going to take a look at the different options that I've set up. And it's going to talk, it'll go through here and you can read all of this wonderful stuff, and it shows us here the different options. Now, the most important thing you can see on this page right here is what a big error they're making by taking their Social Security down here at this level. That's literally $180,000 error that they're making, actually $190,000 error by taking it the wrong way. So it can be a very large number if you don't do it correctly over your lifetime. So here's that chart. They can go in here and run their arrows in. So the very first choice says that she files for her Social Security on March 2026 at age 66 and 10 months, which would be her full retirement age, and she takes her Social Security, it'll be $989. And he waits until age 70 to take his, and his check would be $4,669. And in addition to that, she would get an additional spousal amount of $865. So that strategy right there, out to age 100, would get them $1,614,011. Now, these are not exact numbers because we don't know exactly what the inflation will be going forward, but based on regular numbers, we find that these would be correct and close. So you can see here that his Social Security is kicking in at age 70. She's taking hers out here at 67. And then here's 68 for her, and then when he files, she's going to pick up a spousal portion over here. So their total Social Security would be $81,247 a year, and inflating with inflation over time. If we go down here, this strategy says she starts at 66 and 6 months, or sorry, he starts at 66 and 6 months. And it would be $34.60. Now, 66 and 6 months for him would be full retirement age. Whereas she would start at the same time, and her check would be $18.14, and she would get her spousal benefit immediately. So that number would look like this, but you can see there's a considerable difference in the amount of Social Security they're getting. It's now $59,856 by them both taking it at full retirement age. Go down here, and in this strategy, she would start hers immediately, October 2022, and because she's earning money, she would get phased out, so she wouldn't be collecting any of that, okay? And then down here, he would start his at 70, and that would look like this. So that would be a big mistake for her to file for hers before full retirement age. And then this one down here shows them both filing today, and it shows you that their benefits would be considerably less going forward. Now, probably the most important thing to remember about Social Security and why you wait to take your Social Security at a later age has to do with survivorship. And this is especially true and really true with regards to married people. The person who makes the most Social Security, more often than not, should be waiting till age 70 to take it. And the reason for this is because what happens is when one person dies, the other person gets the highest of the two Social Securities. And that's going to make a considerable difference in their lifestyle going forward. So if you want to get your Social Security report, all you have to do is use the Calendly link below and go set up a time to meet with me, and be sure to bring your Social Security statements to that meeting so that we can run you an individual report, and then I'll show you how Social Security is going to work for you. And if you like, at that point, I'll give you the most balanced, clear view of what your entire retirement will look like going forward. So remember to live like you're going to die tomorrow and plan like you're going to live forever, because you just might. I'll see you real soon. Keep smiling now.